Chapter 9. Josh's mouth fell open. "Your uncle's the thief?" he asked. "Josh," Ruth Rose scolded. She turned to Dink. "Your uncle isn't the thief," she said. "He never had a chance to take the jewel. We were with him when he opened the crate, and he sure didn't take it on the tape we just saw." Dink felt sick, even thinking that his uncle might have stolen the emerald. "What about when we turned out all the lights?" he asked. "But that was so quick," Ruth Rose said. "I don't see how he—" "Guys, the desk," Josh said suddenly. "Look at it. Do you see anything different?" Dink and Ruth Rose looked at Uncle Warren's desk. "What do you mean?" Dink asked. "There's nothing but the blotter and the letter opener, the same as yesterday and this morning." Josh hit the play button on the VCR. He fast-forwarded it until the tape showed the room and everyone in it. "There," he shouted a moment later. "Look at the letter opener. The tip is pointed toward the windows, right?" "Yeah, so what?" Dink said. "Wait a sec and you'll see." In the film, the lights went out. After Dr. Pitts finished shining his flashlight on the jewel, the lights came back on. "Now look," Josh cried. "See, the letter opener is pointing away from the windows. It got turned around." "Why does it matter, Josh?" Ruth Rose asked. "I don't know," Josh said, "but someone picked up the letter opener while the lights were out, then put it down again." "Who was standing closest to it?" Dink asked, hitting stop and rewind. "I think Dr. Pitts was," Josh said. "He was standing right in front of the Jaguar. The letter opener was a few inches away." "But why would he want the letter opener in the dark?" Ruth Rose asked. Just then they heard thumps outside the office door, like someone stomping on a carpet. "Who's that?" Ruth Rose whispered. Josh gulped. "Is the door locked?" "I don't think so," Dink whispered back. He swept a hand over the wall switches. The room darkened except for the small light over the fish tank. "Look," Josh whispered. Through the frosted glass window in the door, the kids saw a tall shadow. They heard a click and the doorknob turned. "Hide!" Dink whispered. "James's office." The kids dashed into the small office. Dink left the door open a crack so he could see who entered. It was Dr. Pitts. Chapter 9. Dr. Pitts stepped into the dark office. The kids watched him creep toward Uncle Warren's desk. Suddenly, he switched on his flashlight. Turning slowly, Dr. Pitts played the beam around the room. In James's office, Dink shrank back against the wall. He held his breath. Next to him, he could feel Josh and Ruth Rose trembling. Dink dared to peek out again. The flashlight was now lying on the desk. Its beam made a yellow circle on the fish tank. Dr. Pitts was crouched down, staring into the tank. Suddenly, he swore. Dink watched Dr. Pitts grab his flashlight and shine it wildly around the room. Dink froze and held his breath. When he peeked out again, Dr. Pitts was shining the flashlight beam at the floor near his feet. He bent over and touched something on the floor. Dink thought about the water Ruth Rose had dripped there. Dr. Pitts once more shone the flashlight's beam around the dark office. The light fell on James's door. "Who's in there?" Dr. Pitts said. Dink closed his eyes. He felt his whole body grow cold. Ruth Rose let out a soft gasp. Then Dink heard footsteps. Dr. Pitts was coming toward their hiding spot. "We have to get out of here," Dink thought. He pressed himself against the wall, but suddenly the wall wasn't there. Dink felt a strong hand grab his arm. Another hand went over his mouth. Struggling, Dink felt himself being dragged backward. "Don't speak," a hoarse voice whispered in his ear. "Come with me." Too frightened to resist, Dink let himself be led. He reached out for Josh and Ruth Rose, but felt nothing. Where were they? "Down here, quickly," the voice said. Dink felt stairs under his feet. As he stumbled down, he smelled something familiar. At the bottom of the stairs, a door opened and Dink saw a light. He smelled onions. He was in Yvonne's kitchen. Then Josh and Ruth Rose piled into him. Yvonne released his arm and slammed the door shut. This was the same narrow door Dink had seen her close before. Come, Yvonne said, putting a finger to her lips. Yvonne rushed them toward the front of the restaurant. The thief is still up there, she said. I must lock the outside door. He will be trapped. No? She hurried toward the exit, but Dr. Pitts was already racing past the restaurant's window. He's gone, Yvonne wailed. Now we will never catch him. It's okay, Dink said, grinning. I have a feeling we caught him on video. Video? Yvonne asked. I do not understand. My uncle has a hidden camera in the office, Dink explained. He looked at Josh and Ruth Rose. I hit the rewind button before we had to hide, remember? I'll bet the tape rewound to the beginning and started recording again before Dr. Pitts came in. Not only that, Josh said, his fingerprints should be on the letter opener. Letter opener? Yvonne asked, looking at the three kids. I think I figured that out, Ruth Rose said. When the lights were turned off, he must have used the letter opener to pry the jewel out of the Jaguar's paws. Then he quickly switched in the fake and slipped the real jewel into the fish tank. But what does it matter, this camera and these fingerprints, Yvonne said, if he has the jewel? But he doesn't, Ruth Rose said. She opened her fist and showed the emerald to Yvonne. It was in the fish tank, and I got it out before he did. How lovely, Yvonne said, giving Ruth Rose a hug. Now what? Josh asked. Yvonne went for the wall phone. Now we call the police.